Oh my God. You can actually take the back off like we used to. So this actually makes so much sense now because we got sent this quite earlier on by Nothing, or CMF, which is a subsidiary of Nothing Phone. You must have known about that by now. Basically, we got sent this a while ago and I was just a bit confused as to what this tool actually is. One side looks like a SIM ejector tool. The other side is just your normal screwdriver. So it now makes sense because using this, I can take the back off the new CMF Phone 1, and the idea is you'll be able to replace it with other accessories like a phone holder, like a card holder, phone stand, and you'll be able to replace the back with maybe another color if you prefer. So this one is a black version, so you can take that off and replace it, and it just brings a lot more fun to the phone, especially in this segment, this mid-tier sort of low budget segment where most phones aren't excitable when it comes to that segment. They're so cheap that they're cheap in every way in terms of like colors, performance, design, etc. But anyway, let's talk about this and see what this is all about. In the box, I've already taken this out of the box. You get a USB-C cable in there for charging your device. So this is a USB-C to USB-C cable that you get in the box. And actually, I haven't ventured to see what else is in here. So there is, that's it. There is a SIM ejector tool in here, which has got this orange finishing as well. And this orange finishing is also because you can get an orange cover for the back, so when you replace it, you can replace it with a different color. But you get a SIM ejector tool, which looks pretty cool. I like what they've done there. But yeah, we'll put that to the side and talk about the phone itself. And I think the key thing here, first of all, is the fact that you can take the back off by just unscrewing those screws on the back. There's 4 screws and one extra, which is basically this rotary dial thing, knob thing. You just unscrew it and you're good to go. I've got so many questions about that. For example, things like when you lose a screw, for example, where'd you get a replacement for that? Is CMF, are they going to be able to replace that for you, or Nothing Phone? I'm not sure about that. Does it affect the water and dust resistance? Is it going to affect it in terms of durability in that sense? I'm not entirely sure. But the benefit of this is, besides being able to customize it, would be the fact that it's going to make it easier to repair this. So the repairability, if that's a word, is going to be so much better. The camera array area is actually covered in this sort of metallic finishing, which is cool. The back is also nice because you don't get so much fingerprint on there. It's actually resistance to that. It's got this nice finish material, nice finishing on it to prevent that from happening. Can't say the same though for the other side, which we'll get to in a second. But you do get 50 megapixel f1.8 lens for the main camera here, which also shoots 4K up to 30 frames per second. It's a Sony sensor in there. And then you got 2x portrait lens on there, so you'll be able to take nice portrait photos and your flash on there. On the other side, we have a power button on there, and on the left side, you have a volume rocker placed nicely close together, nice and neatly done. I like the design there in general. Up top, you've got a microphone, and on the bottom, we have a SIM card tray, USB-C port, and a speaker grill. All in all, it's nice. It's a nice device to hold in hand. It's nice and blocky, if that makes sense, like boxy feeling, and it's just nice. Reminds me a bit like some iPhone models, which we won't talk about. The front-facing camera is 16 megapixel. You got fingerprint sensor to unlock the phone. This is a 1080 screen, so it's 8-bit, but it's still pretty good in terms of what you can do. I think it's like 5,000 nits peak brightness, which I'm guessing is HDR. And so far so good in terms of using it in bright sunlight situations. I think it works really well. And in terms of the processing power, this is running a MediaTek 7300 5G processor. It has 8 gigabytes of RAM and 256 gigabytes of internal storage, all for £238 there or so. I'll leave numbers on the screen. You can get smaller RAM versions as well, which would mean reduced price. Again, numbers will be on the screen. But this version is the top one that you can get, and you got a RAM boost as well, so you can boost to 16 gigabytes of RAM, especially when you're doing those processor intensive tasks or gaming intensive tasks or whatever. You want to do some multitasking. This will help you boost that, so that way you still have a smooth experience. But all in all though, really smooth experience on there so far. Gaming is really good. There's no issues there at all. Sometimes you do notice some bit of a slow movement on the screen. So when you're sort of scrolling on Instagram, for example, you do notice a bit of a glitch or lag or something there, which, I don't know, is somewhere that they've compromised. Although this does have 120 hertz refresh rate and 240 hertz touch sampling rate as well. So I don't know where that's coming from. Maybe it's just the app. Maybe it's the Instagram app itself, because I think it runs 30 frames or something like that. So it could be why that feels that way. So In general, it looks good. Screen looks good as well. The bezel looks good. And I think they've done really well to keep the price low in terms of, you know, this is a budget phone, but it looks really good. It actually looks much more expensive than it actually is. Talking about the camera though, this is where we start to notice the price point a little bit, because the main camera, yes, it works really well. So for example, if I show some pictures I've taken on here, so if we go to my motorbike, I took some pictures off earlier today. It looks really good. The colors are great. You know, it's not overwashed or anything like that. The only time you start to notice the difference though is when you use that 2x zoom, and on 2x zoom you start to notice the level of noise that you get in the photo. So it doesn't do too well even in not so low lights. So it should still do well there, but it doesn't really do well when it comes to that. So that's something to bear in mind. But it's not so bad that you can't share on social media. You can still share it. It's got nice stabilization as well. So you can do a nice videography on there as well, which looks really cool. Although the focusing just jump from the foreground to the background very quickly. But otherwise, I think it's nice and smooth. The stabilization, which is electronic, works really well on there. So that's no concern there at all for me in terms of using this to film stuff on the go and whatnot. Portraiture on here, this can do portrait photography and stuff, but boy, the photos that I tried to take using that portrait photography, it just makes me look like a cutout in the photos. It's so strong. You can adjust the aperture in terms of the blur bokeh effect. It can adjust it, but besides that though, it just makes me look very cut out, and the separation just looks too fake. So that's something to bear in mind as well. But I think overall though, it looks decent. They've done a nice job of it. Front-facing camera is decent as well. But the key selling point of this, the main thing on this device, is the fact that you can change that cover and put a different color on it, besides everything else. But overall, really good. Let me know what you think in the comments below. If you have any questions, drop them there as well. I'm still quite impressed with this back cover, because it's been a while since we've been able to customize our phones and do anything modular. So it's pretty cool that they've done that. Well done. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.